everyone, I'm Sudeepthi Dondapati. Welcome to another session with me. So far we did 5 sessions. They are on verbal ability English paper, and we are going to add one more session to what we have already finished. So we are doing verbal ability questions. There are, like, so far we did some 195 to 96 questions. We are going to do 50 to 60 more questions, so that you will get enough practice for your TCS NQT. And what did we discuss in all the sessions? We tried to identify some errors. So error identification, paragraph completion, paragraph improvement, especially when some sentences they misappropriate words and grammar. We looked at prepositions, we looked at some other adjectives, all these different varieties of questions. And now in this session, we are going to focus on another aspect, the same, like, that is active and passive voice. At the same time, we are going to look at some more synonyms and other type of questions. So what did we learn in the previous class? We learned jumbled order. What is the strategy we discussed? We discussed that the number one strategy is that you should see whether the particular option you are choosing has this introductory, this is called opening or introductory kind of message. Then you have to look at what? You have to look at the conclusion. First introduction, conclusion. In between, you have to switch on to other options, which will give you some details. So the details you have to fill in, or you have to flush in with these details to introduction, between introduction and conclusion, so that it will be an order. It is so easy. So for that, you don't have to really panic and strive hard. So if you can remember that you should open your, or you should start selecting the option which has some kind of introduction. So with that, you can open choose the option, and then you can continue. Then go for progressive details. For example, A started, and then B came, then C, A, B went together. So all that, some kind of progression should happen when you select it. Right. Now let us look at another question, question number 98. Now what is this question? This question is identifying the voice and turning that into different thing. Now identify the voice in the given sentence and translate it accordingly. Now what is that you have to identify? You have to identify the voice. Which voice am I talking about? Human voice? No, it is about active and passive voice. Hope you know the rules and regulations of active and passive voice. Now, before we start, discussing other questions, we shall now look at this active and passive voice question. Identify the voice in the given sentence and translate it accordingly. Right? Active or passive. What is the question? The reluctant managers readily accepted his idea of innovation. The reluctant managers readily accepted his idea of innovation. Now, what are the options given? The idea of innovation of his was accepted readily by the managers who were reluctant. Now, what is the question? You have to identify the voice. What is the question? Where is the question? What is the question? The reluctant managers readily accepted his idea of innovation. So, what is it? Which voice did this question? Then what is the voice? The voice it has is like active voice, because directly the speaker is direct, it is clear, it is concise, it is straightforward. That is why it is said to be in active. Now passive voice is different. Now what is that we have to do? We have to translate it, we have to convert it. So now, because it is in active voice, we have to let us now turn into passive. Now the options given: the reluctant managers readily accepted his idea of innovation. The idea of innovation of his was accepted readily by the managers who were reluctant. 2. His innovative ideas has been accepted by the reluctant managers readily. Number 3. His idea of innovation was readily accepted by the reluctant managers. 4. The acceptance of his innovative idea came readily from the reluctant managers. Now, what is that you have to choose? The idea of innovation of his was accepted readily, or his his innovative ideas has been. Now, what's wrong with that? The idea of innovation of his was accepted. Of his, you don't have to say the idea of innovation of his was accepted by the manager. It is kind of like roundabout the sentence. It's not necessary. Now, option 2, his innovative ideas has been. It is flaw, grammatically flaw is there. His innovative ideas has been is not in the number agreement plural. You cannot say ideas has been. In that too, there is no proper structure of passive voice here. Ideas has been accepted, you don't say. Next, his idea of innovation was readily accepted by the reluctant managers. 4th one, the acceptance of his idea came readily from. No, it's not possible. So now look at the option 3. His idea of innovation was readily accepted by the reluctant manager. Now see, the answer is the same. His idea of innovation was readily accepted by the reluctant. So now let me share you some tips how you have to find out the voice and how you have to convert that from active to passive. Now see, you can see it on the screen. Active voice is very clear, is very strong in the sense. See, now the reluctant managers readily accepted his idea of innovation. There is no confusion there basically. And the subject itself, the subject could, or the subject has ability to perform the action. See, the reluctant managers readily accepted. The subject is here about the reluctant managers, so they could perform action on their own. That is why it is very strong. Clear, there's no confusion. Here it is not talking about through someone or by someone. Usually passive will be reported. But so this is very clear. And now direct means directly the subject performs action. Directly the subject performs action. Concise means abridged. Oh no, like it won't be too lengthy, and it is to the point, and concise to the point. Now, so this is all about active. Now, how do you understand passive? You'll understand passive when it's like you have to understand this passive is like bystander. That means it's like, there is there's an accident on the road, you are there, and now you happen to see the accident, and now what do? You are reporting about the accident. So now what do? I am reporting. This is what exactly the passive voice does. So reporting will be done by passive voice. It's like, I'm telling someone, oh, this has happened. This is called passive voice. So in active voice, the subject itself will talk, and in passive voice, remember the word bystander, like you stand and be an observer and tell others what's happening. So that is the best definition I can really give you if you have to decide on passive voice, if you have to understand this passive voice. So it is subtle, that means not so powerful that because you're reporting and you are not the action holder. Next, it is neutral. You have to be neutral. It will not take the ownership there. It reports. Bystander, I told you. Observer is like somebody who observes. Yeah, you're an observer, you're a bystander. And verb in a passive form, which it receives the action. Now let me tell you 3 golden rules. So you have to see now if somebody asks you, what do you understand by active? You have to say active means strong, clear, direct, concise. Passive means subtle, neutral, bystander, observer, and that's all. You're reporting about the action. So that is what we understand by passive voice. Now let me give you 3 golden rules. Number 1, you have to remember X rule. Why X rule? What is this X rule? You are just reversing the order. X, the position of X is like this, and you are reversing this as. What are you reversing? Now let me show you. You're reversing the subject and the object. The position of the subject and object will be changed. right? So now, for example, Sudeepthi does something. Okay, so it is. Okay, it is. So you are reporting it. You don't say Sudeepthi there. Okay, she writes something there. It is being written by her. So what you're doing is you're reversing the order, right? You are reversing the order. Let me give you an example. See, the reluctant managers readily accept his idea. So now, the idea of innovation, object takes the position of the subject and subject takes the position of the verb. So that is why you are reversing it. So, so our subject will become will not be highlighted in passive, and in passive the object, the action will be highlighted. So that is what the exchange of something. Okay, so next, Rama killed Ravana. Ravana was killed by. So see, Ravana takes the position of subject and Rama goes into the position of this object. So that is what exchange of the positions. So that is number one golden rule, X rule. Number two, helping verbs or auxiliary verbs. So here you see this auxiliary or helping verbs like was, has been, was, is becomes was, is becomes was. See, the reluctant managers readily accepted his idea of innovation was readily auxiliary, helping, or was readily. See, readily accepted by, is something verb. So this will be assisted by further helping verbs. That's why it was accepted. So that is the. So what you have to remember, either you have to use helping or there's this auxiliary verbs. Number three, the bystander. What is it? You are reporting. It has been done. It was done. It is being done. So those three golden rules are very important. Now, so this is what you have to say. The reluctant manager readily accepted his idea of innovation. His idea of innovation was the object becomes first here. Comes first. Idea of innovation was helping verb, readily accepted by the subject, goes to the last position. So that is so easy. Next question. Zain Braid was unable to himself from the difficulties she had caused by forging the paperwork. Zain Braid was unable to himself from the difficulties she had caused by forging the paperwork. Now, Zain Braid was unable to himself from the difficulties. Number one, retrieve. Number two, ouse. Number three, pick. Number four, extricate. Now you have to understand the meanings of these four words. What is it? So what is the meaning of this word? What is the meaning of the word given here? What are the meanings? So you have to understand. Again, synonym, your vocabulary knowledge is tested here. Reprove. Zain Braid was unable to. Reproving is something which you do not agree. Generally, you disapproval. So that's the meaning. Oust is again, just being away or removing from something. Pick is also the same. You trigger it, you stir, you stimulate something. Extricate is like, you free yourself from. You want to get rid of it. With great difficulty, you get rid of it. So that is the sense. So now let's see the fourth option. Zain Braid was unable to extricate himself, from the difficulties she had caused by unable to extricate, not to be, it's like, to release from this sort of bondage or difficulty. So that is the meaning of it. So the answer is extricate. 100 the question. Now we did 99 questions so far. Let's see the 100 question. Choose a word that is opposite. So now earlier question was synonyms, or was on synonyms. Now it is on antonyms. Choose a word that is opposite to the meaning of the word given below. Brittle. Now understand, brittle. Oh, this is so brittle. What is that? Now options given: meek, enduring, fragile, phase. Fragile, enduring, phase. Meek is very, being very weak. Enduring is, prolonging, perceiving. Fragile is easily broken, and phase is also, a kind of another, that instigator. So So what is it like? Brittle means so easily broken. Where here from the given options, fragile is also easily broken. But you are not giving the synonym, but you are giving the antonym, and so you have to use a word like which continues with it. So prolonged action for severe. So that is what enduring you can really think about. So that is the best option. Brittle means to be breakable, while enduring means unbreakable. Next question 101. Question 101. Take this medicine and you will get rid the bad cold. Take this medicine and you will get rid the bad cold. So take this medicine and you will get rid what? Get rid over or get rid of, or you will get rid add the bad cold, or you will get rid from the bad cold. What is that you have to say? Take this medicine and you will get rid of the bad cold you have. So generally you get rid of something, you don't get rid over something. So this is the possible preposition, and right preposition you can use. Here your prepositional knowledge is tested. You generally don't say get rid at, so get rid from. Don't think relieved from, but you don't get rid from. But what you have to use is get rid of. Now, question number 102. This is car I bought yesterday. Fill the space with a suitable article. So far we discussed synonyms, antonyms, and also we have another question like preposition earlier, and now a question on the article. So fill the space with a suitable article. This is a car I bought yesterday. This is an car I bought yesterday. This is the car I bought yesterday. This is nothing. This is car I bought yesterday. So this is a car I bought yesterday, or this is an car I bought yesterday, or this is the car I bought yesterday. Right? So now let us see why it is not a. This is a car I bought. Here the context here is very specific. Here the context here is very specific. When it is specific, what do you have to use? You have to use the definite article. The definite article. What is definite article? Definite article is when it is insignificant and when it is not very specific, you can use you cannot use an before car, before a consonant, and usually it takes vowel, before it comes before vowel sounds. So the why? Because it is very particularly said, this is the car I bought. Not in general, this is not some car. So not a random car, general, somewhere. No, it is very specific. This is the car. This is the car I bought yesterday. So that is why the definite article, the should be used. It is very important to remember how you have to use the definite article and an indefinite article. So option A, the will be used. Next, question number 103. Find the error in the given bold part of the sentence and correct it by choosing appropriate option. So we have to find the error and see what's wrong and what's right here. Without both cases solved, the jury has decided to keep all other cases pending in the court of justice. Without both cases solved, the jury has decided to keep all other cases pending in the court of justice. So unless both cases are solved, the jury has decided to keep all other cases pending in the court of justice. Option B, until each case was solved. The jury has decided to keep all other cases pending in the court of justice. Without the cases being solved, the jury has without the cases being, you don't say. Even until each case, here this is singular, case is singular, and the auxiliary is plural, war. No. Fourth option, since both cases is resolved, the jury has no subject and verb agreement. So now look at the option A. Unless both cases are solved, the jury has decided. So now you have to understand, you see, the correct, unless both cases are solved, because it is a conditional, first conditional sentence. Now what is this conditional? Right, you have to know three conditions using if conditions. Now let me explain you about that. Before we go, let us understand. Unless means except that happens, except that. Okay, unless, until that happens, you cannot do it. So that is a intention behind. Now let me take you through three conditions in English. Okay, there are three conditions: condition 1, condition 2, condition 3. In condition 1, what is it? Condition 1 talks about the possibility, it may happen, that is a sense. Condition 2, in theory it is possible. In theory it is possible. Condition, in theory it is possible. If that happens, it happens. So that is a sense. Condition 3, condition not possible to fulfill. It is not possible, but it is understood. Right? Now I said possibility in theory, and third, it is not possible, it is too late. Now let me give you examples for these three. Condition 1, what is the structure it takes, and what is it? It takes simple present. Simple present means what is it? That first case, I do it, I come, you go. Simple present tense. Simple past, I ate, she ate, they completed. Okay. Now third one, past perfect. Okay, he had done. Okay, so that is it. And now you have to combine both. For example, this if the tense plus clause should be there. Tense you know now. In condition 1, you have to use simple present tense. In condition 2, you have to use simple past. Condition 3, past perfect. In condition 1, along with this tense, you have to use the clause also. What is the clause? You have to will, or this is infinitive or modal. Okay, so what is this infinitive? To do, to make something. The base verb will be there, and it is succeeded, it is preceded by to do something. Okay, infinitive, base verb. Now in simple past, would plus infinitive, it would happen, it would do, it would be, she would do, infinitive, base verb, without taking any suffix or prefix, like she may come, all that. Past perfect, would plus have plus past. Let me give you an example, then you will understand it very clearly. Right? Now in condition 1, now I said theory. Condition 1, we are discussing possibility. Right? Condition 1, possibility. If I study, possibility. If I study, I will pass the exam. So remember the structure. You will take simple present. If I study is simple present. And what is the clause you have to use? Will, future, or modal infinitive. What is the modal? Will, future means I will. Future tense is used. Clause is used. Okay. I will pass the exam. Simple present plus will or infinitive. I will pass the exam. When possibility be in condition 1, we discuss the possibility. So if I study, I will pass the exam. That means if I don't study, I will not pass the exam. So in condition 1, we are discussing the possibility. Right? That is over. Now condition 2. What is condition 2? Condition 2, in theory, that is like if that is there, then it would happen. But we do not know whether it is true or not. Right? So that is the sense. So let us take the example. If I studied, I would pass the exam. What is the structure? Condition 2. Simple past plus would plus infinitive. Would plus infinitive. Infinitive means, base verb without any inflections or suffix or prefix. What is this infinitive here? Passed the exam. So I passed the exam. So in condition 2, if I studied, I would. If I ate, I would come. If I completed, I would be very free. So that is if plus infinitive. That is what would plus infinitive. Condition 3, what is that? It is too late. It's not very possible. That is what if I had studied, I would have passed. That means I did not study. That means I failed the exam. If I had studied, I would have passed. That is the meaning. If I had studied, I would have passed the exam. If I had studied, I would have passed the exam. That means I did not pass. So these are the 3 conditions you have to remember. Right? This is the rule. But that's why, now see, unless both cases are solved, okay, unless first case, the jury has decided to keep all other case number 1. Condition 1 is applicable here. It's so simple if you can remember. Next question, 104. Choose the most appropriate word which can replace the underlined phrase. Here, under phrase again, kind of like, they give some kind of idiomatic expressions. You have to find the phrasal verbs, idiomatic expressions. They can give any. So we have to find the similar. He refused to cooperate with me and thus threw a spanner on my plan. Threw a spanner on my plan. Executed option A. B. Left me alone with. C. Sabotaged for restructure. He refused to cooperate with me. That means not very cooperative, and thus threw a spanner on my plan. Throwing a spanner. What is it? It's nothing but just destroying it. So what is another word you can really find here in the options given? Sabotaged is another word you can really think about. So sabotage means destructing, somebody's plans. So that is a meaning. So you have to go with the option C. There's no other answer. Next, 105. Question 105. Traffic was really slow on the freeway this morning because of a fender bender in one of the westbound lanes. Traffic was really slow on the freeway this morning because of a fender bender in one of the westbound lanes. Now, traffic was really slow on the freeway. It was because of fender bender in one of the westbound. Number 1, congested traffic. Number 2, automobile accident. Number 3, police surveillance for divider damage. Congested traffic or automobile because of a fender bender. What is this? Some kind of vehicle kind of accident. Option 3, police surveillance. No, it's not that, river damage, but generally it is like automobile accidents. Two vehicles clashed. Accident, automobile accident. So option B, fender bender means accident. Vehicles accident, or two people met with an accident on the road. Question number 106. People cry over spilt milk when they do not execute tasks with proper planning. People cry over spilt milk. They cry over spilt milk when they do not execute tasks with proper planning. What is crying over spilt milk? What is spilt milk? You spilled something, okay, spilling, dropping, and spilled as past. Cry over spilt milk when they do not execute tasks. Number 1, weep. B, repent. C, fail. 4, are indifferent. Weeping is not sufficient. Yes, you feel sorry for it. Repent means, I would have done that. No use. That is the sense here. People cry over when they do not execute. C, fail. Failing is near but not exactly. So you can really go with the option B. To keep one's temper. You should keep your temper. It should keep your temper. That you have to be very balanced, right? You have to be in a proper way. So to become hungry, to be in good mood, to preserve one's energy, to be aloof from none of this. So you can go with the option B, that is to be in good mood, balanced way. To drive home. What is the point you're driving home? Means what is that you're stressing? What is that you're emphasizing? So the options given: to find one's roots, origins, to return to the place of rest, or again back to the position, back to the original position. For emphasize, you can go with the option D, to emphasize. To have an axe to grind. Now what are the options? What is that? What's the meaning for this idiom? A private end to serve. Let me discuss. The fail to rouse interest, fail to create interest. To have no result, no use. To work for both sides. For it's like something happened. It is for good, at the same time it is for bad. And generally you say that to have an axe to grind is like to have another means of purpose, like some kind of personal interest, personal gain for that. So that is what to have an axe to grind. So that is the meaning. To cry wolf. What is it again? Meaning for this idiomatic expression. To cry wolf, to listen eagerly, to give false alarm, to turn pale, to to keep off starvation, to listen eagerly, attentive, to give false alarm. Yes, this is not very true, but you pretend as though it is. Turn pale, losing interest, and physically weak, to keep off starvation, preventing that. So obviously, you can go with the option 2, like to give false alarm, right? So these are a few questions for us to practice for today's session. You can you can go to the video, you can take the questions again 2-3 times, you can understand. So in this session we discussed especially some grammar questions, prepositions, articles, the same time voice, and all these things. So I hope you practice them effectively. In another session, we will look at a few more questions. We will focus on other aspects as well, and you'll be able to practice very effectively and for the day of your exam in TCS NQT. Right? So keep practicing and keep doing well. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.